Okay, so today we're going to talk about your low scoring TEAC and your high scoring TEAC. So for your high scoring TEAC, it was 4.3A dash 4.1F, which was decomposing fractions. And then we have 4.3C, which was comparing fractions. So let's talk about why were they so successful?
On the last ones,
Yes.
comparing fractions, I make them draw the fraction out, and they need to. I make sure that the boxes are the same size. If it's an even number, cut it in the middle, then cut it like four, like let's say 8. Cut it in the middle. You need 4 for one side, 4 for another side, and that's how you get an even amount of boxes, and they're equally spaced out. And they got used to doing that, so it's already expected, and they could actually see the visuals. Like, okay, I could see that one half is bigger than this. I could see that one half is smaller than that.
And then we had for decomposing fractions.
Decomposing fractions, I had a game with them where I would give them a fraction, and you have to break it down in a lot of different ways. Like, let's say 5/6. You need to give me different ways to add up to 5/6. So probably 2/6 plus 3/6. That's one way. Give me another way. 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 3/6. Yeah. Can you give me another way? So as long as they notice that, okay, we're making that number.
Okay. I noticed for other teachers, for their kids for decomposing fractions, the biggest thing was always the students trying to, whatever the denominator was, they was trying to find ways to decompose that as well. So how were you able to make sure that wasn't a misconception for your students to know that that the denominator does not change?
We used the tiles, the fraction tiles, and then we would put it together, and we would add, let's say I did it wrong the first time. Like, let's say 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/8.
Okay.
And then we did it visually, like 1/4 plus 1/4. How many quarters do I have?
Okay.
2. And then I showed them what 2/8 looks like. Is that the same as this? No. And so they got used to seeing that the numerators is the only thing that changes. The denominator stays the same.
Okay.
And then we also used our pictures. I forced them to draw the pictures and shade it in, like 1/4 plus 1/4. How many quarters do you have? 1, 2. 2 quarters out of 4, or 2 out of 4.
Okay. Sounds like a nice visuals. I like it. So let's talk about now the important part is your low scoring TEAC, which was the 4.3E, which was represent and solve addition or subtraction fraction problems with pictorial models. So we looked at the question that was given for that assessment. It had like the shirts, and then I noticed like when I looked at like the wording. So for your students, let's talk about what were those misconceptions. Why do you feel like that was the low scoring TEAC?
For my students, most of them are bilingual and they're barely learning some English. Some kids catch on really fast, but the question was, what fraction of shirts are either solid or striped? Enter your answer in the keypad. While I was walking around, I noticed that some of my students were writing either, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 out of 5. That's what they were doing. They were probably making a fraction out of that, or 5 out of 3. And I never crossed my mind to teach them until, the data time, when we look at graphs, to teach them that when we're looking at pictures, the word or is another way to say and. So
okay, so more like it was the vocab part. I would have to say yes. I think that played a part as well. And another question that we had, like I think for when it came time for like I think the IA, and I know when we had like practice questions, that was something that came up a lot, and I was just like, okay, how are the kids gonna get it? So I know what helped best for my students was they like chips. They like Takis. So I created a question that kind of was similar to this one, and I had like Takis, hot Cheetos, and then like Lay's chips. And had to talk to them about that verbiage of if you see the word or, then it's like you trying to find out the total of all, which is your whole, and then you're trying to figure out between these two, like what will be that fraction for it, and you can't really just choose one or the other. It's like that combination part. So I really would say the vocab part is what really kind of gets them, and then also if they already do not have the denominator given to them, they think they're supposed to just choose
one group
that
instead
group.
of the whole group.
So they kind of like, for this question, you can see like they probably did like the solids and the stripes, but forgot to add the dotted shirts to that. So for that, how could you reteach this teak?
I'm gonna go over this question again and then maybe give them a couple of examples. So we're gonna do this together and then tell you, revisit what a denominator is. The denominator is everything. The denominator is the whole picture. And then these shirts, these are parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3. And for solid or stripes, how many are solid? 5. How many are striped? Okay. What does the word or mean? The word means and. Yes, it could be this or that, but whenever you see that, you need to get used to saying and. You could replace the word or with and, so solid and stripes. So then they would just count, get your denominator first, that's the most important part, and then get your solid and stripe, or add those two parts together.
Okay. So for the next thing would be, would you want this to be based on the percentage that you got for this teak? Would you want this to be like a whole group reteach, or would you want this to be something that you do in smaller groups?
That would be a whole group because it's 12%.
Okay.
Only 12 kids got it successfully. So I think everybody would benefit from that.
Okay. And then after that, let's say once you get to that point, how do you feel like you would check for the mastery?
The mastery of that? Maybe have an exit ticket, like a quick check before you and go to your other, to wherever you're going, whether it's iReady or independent work.
Okay, so the smaller stations. Okay.
You gotta give me this and I'll check it if it's correct or if it's not correct.
Okay. And then what would be your end goal? Like after seeing your data, looking at everything, like what would be your end goal for this unit? Since we've already talked about it, like what would be your end goal that you would want to prepare them for the next unit? That kind of, because we're talking about decimals next.
Yeah.
So, and they will need fractions to be able to compare with how the relationship between decimals and fractions. So what's your end goal on how you want to target those certain teaks?
My end goal would be, after decimals, it would be the graphing data. So I guess that's a good head start for the kids. Yeah. Because I've never seen a question like this inside the fraction unit. Like, they might say how many solid shirts are there, but I've never seen the verbiage of or.
This change. So I feel like with that, and that's what I was thinking too, because it's like they'll ask either or. It wouldn't be like, okay, for solids or stripes. I do remember last year, like I seen like practice questions that we would use based on older like teaks that were before. But it was like we just kind of showed them that just to kind of give them an idea of how to do it, but we've never really seen it be tested. So it's like now seeing this question come up, it's like, okay, so do we have to prepare? Because now it means the rigor is changing.
No, definitely. And I also think that because we were doing a lot of word problems on the last few days, that helped them open their mind up to the questions. And that's why they probably scored higher than the other ones, because I told them you need to be careful with the question, what it's asking you to do. Your fractions could be the shaded part or the unshaded part. So you have to understand what are you shading and what's unshaded.
Okay. I agree. So I also think with this part, like for that teak, with them having to be able to represent and solve for those additional subtraction problems, which is more like word problems, what problem solving strategies do you use?
For the problems, I use the box method, the 4 squares. Make them write the sentence statement or solution statement, write down their thoughts, force them to write their boxes, because that's
Mm-hmm.
going to give you a clear picture
Yes.
of what you're doing, and then solve it. And then, does it make sense? Yeah, it should make sense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, yes, I do feel like the problem solving approach that we've been using
Mm-hmm.
is helping a little bit more, because it also is able for them, helps them to grasp the concept of, okay, this is what the information I'm getting, but this is also what my question is asking, based on them writing the solution statement of this, their way of restating the question.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that plays a big part. I do feel that after we hit those targets of where you want to go, what percentage, like what's your percentage where you want the kids to be for this teak?
For this teak, that one's one of the easiest
Mm-hmm.
teaks. As once you grasp it, I say over 70%.
Over 70%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, so let's say, what if we're like a few percent off from that? Then what would be your next step?
Next step, target mostly the emerging bilinguals, because that's why I put it at 70, because most of them are still learning English. And just target them with the keywords whenever we see something like this and they're asking you for solids or stripes. Underline it and circle what they want. Like probably make circle your whole, and then circle what they're asking you for. So circle stripes and circle solids. So your whole is everything together, or maybe make it a strategy. Circle your denominator, so your whole, so 9 shirts, and then what they're asking you for, solid and stripes. So circle those, and make that a group.
Okay, so the visuals. So I'll say I like the plans that you have in place, and I'll say after the break we can revisit, and that we can see for their upcoming retest how they do on it.
Perfect. That sounds good to me.